Please be seated. Those of you who can be seated, please be seated. Dr. Huber, Justice Dietzen, members of our law school board of governors, faculty, administrative leaders, and staff of the University and School of Law, graduates of the class of 2013, and honored guests, welcome to you all. Today is a day of joy, a day to celebrate. We honor and congratulate our 10th class of students, and we celebrate your graduation. This should also be a day of prayerful gratitude. Thanks to God, especially in these uncertain economic times, for the gifts of your many talents, for all that you have achieved during these 3 years, and for the fine education you have received. Gratitude for the lifelong friendships you have formed here. Gratitude for our law school mission and the ways you've integrated it into your professional and daily lives. And most important, thanks for the family and friends who have supported you along the way. You are the class of 2013. You chose St. Thomas, a law school dedicated to educating the whole person, as the first stage of what will be a career-long journey of professional formation. Over 3 years, our school has undoubtedly shaped you, but you have also shaped our school. You have founded at least 6 new student organizations. You have helped the laws regulating the cost of prison phone calls. You have founded nonprofit organizations. You have argued appeals before some of the most prestigious judges in the entire country. You have helped pioneer the first federal commutations clinic in the country. You have represented the Vatican at the United Nations. You have modeled civil discourse in divisive political times. You've kept good spirits in difficult economic times. You have welcomed a new dean, a new pope, celebrated the 10th anniversary of our school, and one of you even wore a penguin costume to my torts class during your first semester. I knew at that moment that this was going to be a class with no shortage of personality, and I was right. We are profoundly grateful for the many ways in which you have helped shape our school, in which you have built our community and advanced our mission. So as your dean, and on behalf of our faculty and staff and board of governors and trustees, I extend our thanks to you for that. So let me begin the celebration by introducing the platform party to you. On my right and closest to me is Justice Christopher Dietzen, Associate Justice of the Minnesota Supreme Court. Justice Dietzen is our keynote speaker today. Next to Justice Dietzen is Dr. Sue Huber, the Executive Vice President and Chief Academic Officer of our university. Dr. Huber will be conferring the Juris Doctor degrees. Next to Dr. Huber is Dr. Mark Dienhart, Executive Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer of our university. Next to Dr. Dienhart is Matthew Limoges, your selection for class speaker, who you will hear from later today. And finally, next to Matthew is Father Dan Griffith, one of our faculty fellows and a priest of this archdiocese. Please join me in welcoming this distinguished group to our graduation ceremony. I now invite Father Griffith to deliver the invocation.
Good and gracious God, we bless and praise your holy name. For you, O Lord, are the source of all that is good and holy. Out of nothing you fashioned the beauty of creation and ordered it according to your divine wisdom. We stand before you today with hearts full of gratitude. Gratitude for your generous bounty and for your providential care. Today, in a special way, we thank you for the gift of wisdom and truth and for the gift of law. Bless these law graduates today and throughout their lives as they seek to serve you and their neighbor. Help them to be good stewards of the gift of law so that they may generously serve those around them, especially the poor and marginalized. Send your guiding spirit upon them, the spirit of wisdom and courage. Help them integrate into their lives faith and reason as they pursue the truth that comes from you. Help them live virtuous and holy lives that give glory to your name, O God. Cultivate their hearts so that they may be humble and loving servants, and cultivate their minds so that they may discern your wisdom and act with prudence. May they bear much fruit throughout their work in this noble profession, and may they help direct the law to its proper ends, justice and the common good. We make our humble prayer through your holy and powerful name. Amen.
Thank you, Father Griffith. Before we proceed to our next speaker, I'd like to call your attention to our commencement program, which I'm sure you've already been looking through. Each of you should be able to find your favorite member of the class of 2013 listed in the program, along with their prior undergraduate and graduate degrees. Let me just say, at some schools, this long list of names might be just that, a long list of names. But we know better. Each name you see in this program is the center of someone's world. And speaking on behalf of our faculty and staff, we try to remember that every day that they're here for the 3 years that they have with us. Each one of these graduates has contributed in unique ways to our law school community and richly deserves our congratulations. But let me take a brief moment to call your attention to several students who have earned special recognition. After the long list of names, you see first the listing and recognition of students who are likely to achieve high academic honors, the just reward for 3 years of truly exceptional academic performance and achievement. And then on the next page where it says public service hours, we list the students who have logged at least 100 hours of service to our community, and several who have dedicated literally hundreds of hours, over 400 hours in 3 cases, to public service. As most of you know, the School of Law is distinctive in requiring its students to dedicate a certain number of hours, at least 50, to community service. The graduates who have performed more than 100 hours of service have gone above and beyond our law school vision that we are all asked by God to serve others, particularly those who are most in need of our care. We then list the graduates who have volunteered more than 50 law-related service hours under the auspices of the Minnesota Justice Foundation. Together, the class of 2013 has performed over 15,000 hours of public service during their 3 years of law school. 15,000 hours. Congratulations to them, and on behalf of the many, many, many people you have served, thank you. Finally, we highlight those students whose contributions to our distinctive mission have been so excellent that we presented them over the past 3 years with our mission awards. These students have embodied our mission of integrating faith and reason in the search for truth through a focus on morality and social justice. So whether it's individual students who have excelled in academics, in leadership, and or in service, please join me in thanking them for their distinctive contributions. I would next like to take a moment to thank the class of 2013 for one more important contribution. Like the previous 9 classes, the class has presented the School of Law with a class gift. More than 90% of the class have contributed to this gift. And like the first 9 classes, they have stepped forward and generously presented the school with not one gift, but 2 gifts. First, they have provided a public interest summer fellowship, which will go to one of our law students who will work in public interest law next summer. Second, a tangible gift. This year's gift is an oral advocacy lab in the law school. The class raised enough money to furnish one of our classrooms with a podium handmade by Neil Pearson and Chris Motz, a video camera and tripod, and a plaque honoring the 143 and counting class members who have participated in giving. The podium will be on display in the atrium at the law school during the reception following the ceremony. I would also especially like to thank Lauren Malloy and Connor Gaughan, the 3L student government representatives who led the successful fundraising for the class of 2013 gifts. Thank you to Lauren and Connor for your excellent and diligent work. I am now pleased to introduce Matthew Limoges. Your class has selected Matthew as the representative to speak on their behalf. Matthew, during his time at law school, has kept busy with a variety of activities. He's devoted time to moot court, has volunteered for the Minnesota Justice Foundation, he's been a law school student ambassador, and he's committed many hours to one of our clinics, the Community Justice Project, where he created a theory of change model for brotherhood, an organization that embodies our social justice mission by helping young men move out of the criminal justice system by learning job skills and achieving small business success. I had a chance to hear Matthew present the fruit of his work at a dinner a few weeks ago. His passion for helping keep the young and socially marginalized out of our criminal justice system was energizing, and the hard work he devoted to making sure his passion brings real-world change was inspiring. So a word to Matthew's parents, Joel and Pat, wherever you are, you should be very proud of your son. He has worked hard, and his hard work is making the world a better place. But let me say a broader point here. Every single one of our graduates has a story to tell, a story of hard work, of achievement mixed with frustration, of hopes and dreams, and of a vocation that calls them to use their gifts to make the world a better place. Making the world a better place is not just a corny or trite phrase from a greeting card. It's real, and it is reflected in the lives of the graduates sitting before you. Now, we don't have time for each one of these graduates to tell their story, so they've selected one to speak for them all. So now, class of 2013, please give a rousing salute to your choice to speak on your behalf, Matthew Limoges.
Well, we did it, I guess. So we can round of applause for that. You know, when I was first elected student speaker, I started writing this speech about, you know, all these wise words of encouragement to my classmates and, you know, advice that I can give them to going forward. And then I realized that I really don't have any of those because I'm in the same state you are. So I figured that my class chose me to be their class speaker to tell them some stories about the lessons that I've learned throughout my 3 years at law school. So I'm going to leave you with 3 lessons that I've learned, one from each year of my time here at St. Thomas. So during my 1L year, the lesson I learned is that sometimes a short answer is better than a long answer. I was sitting in civil procedure class. It was like day 2, and at that time it was Dean Mangler, who was our professor, and he called on me. He said, "Mr. Limoges, you know, Mr. Limoges." And I said, "Well, it's Limoges, but you can call me whatever you want." You know, just trying to be cheeky with him. And then he said, "Well, can I call you Harry?" And I should have just stopped it at that. I should have been, "Oh yeah, whatever." But I said, "But only if you call me Dirty Harry." So lesson I learned from my 1L year is that a short answer is sometimes better than a long one. The lesson I learned from my 2L year is that you can't convey tone in an email. I had 2 job interviews in 1 week, thanks. And I was looking for some sort of encouragement to get me through the job interview process. So I was talking with a couple upperclassmen at the time, and they were saying, oh, Matt, you got to do all these things for the job interview. But one of the students came up to me and said, what you really have to do is you have to go talk to Professor Organ and get him to say a prayer for you, because that always works for me. So, this was late at night, the night before the interview, so I said, well, I got nothing really to lose. So I sent him an email, and I think my exact words were, Professor Organ, word around school is that you're the guy to get to pray for him during a job interview. And I thought it was a thing, I thought it was like rubbing the guy's foot in the atrium. Apparently it's not, because I received an email back from Professor Organ that said, Matthew, I'm not completely sure what to make of your word around school comment, but if you really need a prayer, I can definitely say you one. So, lesson I learned from my 2L year is you can't convey tone in an email. And then the lesson I learned from my 3L year is actually has a lot of practical application, is that you should never leave home without a set of business clothes, either in your car or having access to those clothes. There was this one time this semester, for clinic, and PLP knows exactly what I'm talking about, where I slept through my alarm, and I missed clinic class, and I was kind of a mess. I got to school in just jeans and a t-shirt, and then all my other clinic members were saying, well, aren't you going to that meeting at 1:30? And I was, what meeting? And they, well, you got to go to that meeting. So I ran over to PLP, and I said, PLP is Professor Levy Pounds, by the way. And she said, well, it's going to be kind of business dress, Matt. So I said, oh, well, I don't really have time to run home. So I ran to Target. I'm sprinting through the skyways like a Target employee. And I'm just sweating buckets. And I get to Target, and I just pull a button up off the rack, and I pull a cheap pair of khakis off the rack. So then I sprint all the way back to school, and I get there, and I'm putting my shirt on, and then I go to put the pants on, and I realize they're 2 sizes too small. And I think my exact words were like, yeah, no way. And so I was thinking, I don't really have time to go get more pants. I don't know what to do. I don't want to wear these jeans. So I thought to myself, well, the shirt is kind of long, so maybe I could cut slits in the pants and just squeeze my way in these pants, and maybe they won't necessarily notice. Thankfully, I didn't choose that route. I just decided to wear the jeans that I had on for the day to the meeting. And I got to the meeting, and I met PLP outside, and she did one of these at me. And in further conversation later, she determined that she talked to me. So she said, well, we thought you were going to change clothes, and you didn't really change clothes. But anyways, so the meeting went fine. And then on the way home, I thought, oh, that was a really rough day. Like, I could really use a milkshake. So I go to the McDonald's on 24th and Nicollet. Rafe, you know the one. And I'm like, hey, can I please have a large milkshake? And the lady says, oh, I'm sorry, sir, but our milkshake machine is down. And at this point, I was keeping it together. And I said, okay, just action plan. I'll just go to a different McDonald's. Okay. So I drive all the way home, and I get to the McDonald's where I live, and I get up to there, and I go, hey, can I please have a large vanilla milkshake? And the lady goes, I'm sorry, sir, but our milkshake machine is down. And that's when I lost it. I started having a Dr. Phil conversation with the lady, or taking my order. Like, you just don't know the day I've had. Can't you just give me a milkshake? So the lesson I learned from my 3L year is that you should always have access to an extra set of business clothes. So we all have these stories that we can tell our families and our friends about, that we've learned the hard way while during our time here at St. Thomas. So I encourage you to reflect on those experiences today, and congratulations again.
Thank you, Matthew. I confess I was getting a little nervous about where that third story was headed. I was praying silently, please tell me he did not go to a meeting with a client without pants on. So thank you for sparing me a very awkward commencement moment. It is now my great honor to introduce our keynote speaker, Justice Christopher Dietzen. It is a real pleasure to introduce a person who has committed his professional life to the administration of justice and to living out the values that are at the core of his identity. Justice Dietzen has served on the Minnesota Supreme Court since 2008, after 4 years on the Minnesota Court of Appeals. Before being appointed to the bench, Justice Dietzen practiced law with Larkin, Hoffman, Daly, and Lindgren. He received both his undergraduate and law degrees from Gonzaga University. Justice Dietzen has been an unwavering supporter of the law school over the years, lending wise counsel, strong leadership, and effective mentoring, and perhaps most importantly, consistently hiring our graduates. As they can attest, he works you hard, but it is a year-long intensive course in thinking critically and writing clearly. We are very grateful for his continuing investment in our students and our graduates. Please join me in welcoming Justice Christopher Dietzen.
Dean Fisher, Father Griffith, Matthew Limoges, Mr. Grossland and Dr. Huber, professors and members of the St. Thomas community, and you, the graduating class of 2013. Hooray! Together with your family, friends, and guests. It's great to be here with all of you, and I congratulate you. I have to say, I think I'm almost as excited as you are. I jumped in the car with my wife, I got on the freeway, and I was so excited I forgot I didn't have gas in the car. And it wasn't so bad, except that there wasn't gas in the car coming home from work last night. And so I was all of a sudden in this crisis situation, and my wife said, "Chris, we need to find a gas station." Good idea. Fortunately, we got off and we got gas in the car, and we're here. Thank you, Lord, for protecting me. I will not keep you long from your well-deserved celebration, but let me reflect with you for a few moments on the future that lies before you, and more specifically, what it means to be a lawyer. I have learned two important lessons in the practice of law that have guided my life. First, we all have a responsibility to be ethical and moral lawyers. Yes, ethical and moral. Second, the practice of law is, in my view, a vocation or calling to serve God and others and to promote the common good. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about being an ethical and moral lawyer. It's the rules of professional conduct are spelled out, and we can look at those and we can say, those are what we need to do. And as a court, we will judge you by those. But I have to say, that's kind of the lowest common denominator. That's the bottom line. The preamble to the rules give us a glimpse of that. They state, quote, "A lawyer is an officer of the legal system and a public citizen having special responsibility for the quality of justice," close quote. As lawyers, we are no longer ordinary citizens, but are, quote, "public citizens with a special responsibility for the quality of justice." I was fortunate to have Jim Larkin as a mentor. Larkin was not only a successful trial lawyer, but also held in high regard in the legal community. I remember trying a case with Jim in Ramsey County District Court as a young lawyer, very green. We had a discovery dispute that occurred during trial, and we won the dispute, and the other side was sanctioned $10,000. The judge asked me to draft the order, show it to the other side, and present it to the court the next day, which I did. On my way home, I did have gas in my car then, I realized I had made a mistake in one of the findings that was inconsistent with the court's ruling, and the mistake benefited our client. It was a big deal because it gave my client an advantage and the ability to obtain more sanctions. Ooh, what do I do? I could help the client a great deal, but what was my duty to the court? What was the right thing to do? After talking to Jim, we concluded we needed to correct the order, and we did. Integrity and trustworthiness require nothing less. We all make mistakes. You will make mistakes as lawyers. The question is, what will you do with those mistakes? We don't cover them up, we address them head on. I have a second story for you. This one I remember, even though it occurred many years ago, but it was a significant one. I represented a major corporation in a trial that was protracted. It lasted 6 months. It seemed like the case went on forever. My partners loved the case because of all the, billable hours. We presented our case, the other side presented their case, and now it was time to decide, should we present rebuttal? At the moment I was about to announce that there was no rebuttal, an employee came up to me and he said, "Chris, I thought you should know a former employee hid documents that favor the other side." I was stunned and I didn't know what to do. This was a huge dilemma. This was like right at the end of trial. To say that the company was invested in the case is an understatement. There was millions that had been spent and millions that were at stake. What was my ethical duty? Did I need to disclose the documents? What was the right thing to do? I remember obtaining a recess to go talk to the client because this was an employee that raised the issue and now I had to talk to the local management. They didn't know anything about it. You know what they said? "Chris, ignore it. You don't need to say anything about it. All you need to say is no rebuttal, case is closed and done." And by the way, this is a peripheral issue. It has nothing to do with the merits of the case, so you don't have to disclose it. I remember agonizing for several minutes thinking about what I was going to do, and I said, I have a responsibility. I have an ethical and moral responsibility to disclose the documents if they were requested. Therefore, we asked for obtained a continuance to determine whether the documents had been requested. We reviewed the discovery and concluded that the documents had arguably been requested. We advised the client that they needed to be disclosed. The client agreed and ultimately dismissed the lawsuit. So it had huge consequences. The lesson for me is the lesson for all of us that lawyers never compromise his or her principles or beliefs. Never. It may be tempting, it was tempting, to not disclose the documents and conclude the case. It was hard after 6 months to see victory slipping between your hands because I knew at that point that the judge was going to rule in our favor. We were going to win the case. But at some point, for me, my moral compass said, this is not right. I need to disclose the documents, assuming they were requested, and I was pretty sure that they had. At some point in your career, you will be asked by a client, a colleague, or a friend to bend a rule. The simple answer is, don't do it. Be an ethical and moral lawyer. The second point that I want to cover with you is law as a vocation. The practice of law is more than being an ethical and moral lawyer. More broadly, you sit here with the future ahead of you, excited, and I'm excited for all of you, But you have to ask yourself, what does it mean to be a lawyer? What do you want your identity as a lawyer to be? How do you want others to describe you? As a young lawyer, and I can remember vividly sitting in your same place, I wanted to make money. I had some loans to pay. Do you guys have loans to pay? A few? I wanted to be successful. I wanted to be a partner in the law firm. I wanted to live the dream, man. I soon learned that making money, and I did, and being a partner in the law firm didn't make me happy for very long. I asked myself, is this all there is? After practicing law for about 5 years, I had one of those aha moments when the purpose of my work became clear to me. It was a vocation. Vocation is a word. It's an English word, a French word, a Latin word, if you studied Latin. That means a calling, especially a divine calling to undertake a certain kind of work. In here, the practice of law. Viewing the practice of law as a vocation to serve God gives meaning to our work and motivates us to do it well. It's not just about me. Rather, it's about doing what God wants me to do. I remember saying this prayer about that time. Jesus, help me, or I desire to do your work in my occupation as a lawyer. Practically speaking, it means that I seek God's wisdom in my work, that I treat others with dignity and respect, and I look for ways to promote the common good. Some of you may call this making a difference. Laws of vocation integrates faith and our values into our work. There are two obstacles as you try and integrate this into your whole life, at least that I found were obstacles. As a young lawyer, I was tempted to separate or compartmentalize my professional life for the rest of my life. Here was law, here was the rest of my life. On Sunday, I'd go to Mass and apply my Catholic values on that day. And then, the rest of the work week, I'd apply a different set of values to my professional life. I heard the phrase, "This is business. It's different." This is a philosophy that's wrong. Instead, we must apply our faith and our values to all aspects of our life, not just on Sunday, but the entire week. Also, kind of a second obstacle, you will receive pressure from many different sources to work very long hours as a lawyer. Those long hours conflict with other responsibilities, though. For example, to be a good husband and to be a good father. You must learn to balance your responsibilities to your spouse, to your children, and your profession to do them well. You're not married, you have other responsibilities. You still have the issue of balance. If you don't achieve the balance, your most important relationships will suffer. When you decide to serve God in your work, you will have the opportunity to see God in your work. Several years ago, I was asked to represent an Assembly of God Bible camp, which had appealed the denial of its application for a property tax exemption. To win the case, we needed to prove the Bible camp positively affected individual lives. At trial, I presented the testimony of several witnesses who had attended the Bible camp, one of which changed my life. Donna testified that she lived in Eden Prairie and attended the Bible camp. She stated that one morning she went to a women's quilting group with 600 other women. Initially, the individuals of the group introduced themselves and explained why they came to the retreat. When it was Donna's turn, she said, quote, "I decided to go to the retreat at the last minute. I really didn't know why I was there." Donna then explained, For many years, my mother and I went to the Bible camp, and on this weekend, but I stopped going about 10 years ago. One of the women said, "Why?" And Donna said, "My mother was killed in a car accident in Brainerd. I was devastated and mad at God. Why did this happen?" Upon further questioning, Donna described the date and place of the accident. Then a woman in the group next to her responded, "Donna, I was there when your mother was in the car accident that day. I was following your mother's car. I saw her get into this accident. It was a head-on collision. She went into the ditch. I grabbed my Bible. I rushed out of the car, and I sat in the passenger side next to your mother. I held your mother in my arms, and I prayed with her. She died in my arms." Donna's testimony reveals something important to all of us. God is present in our world and in our courtrooms. God wants to use us in our work to help promote the common good. In conclusion, I invite you to make a decision to practice law as a vocation to serve God and others and to promote the common good. Second, decide today that you will be an ethical and moral lawyer and that you will not compromise those values. You will not regret either decision, and you will find greater meaning to your work. Finally, let me express a word of encouragement to all of you. As lawyers, you will be given the opportunity to help clients in their most important legal matters. Clients need someone they can trust that will give them sound legal advice. It's a challenge to do it well, but it's also very rewarding. Make us proud by your conduct in your profession. Congratulations to each of you, and good luck.
Thank you, Justice Dietzen, for those reflections. I would like to invite Professor Bruce Grossland to the stage. Now, as he's coming up here, those of you who don't know Professor Grossland, let me briefly introduce you to him. He's a longtime member of our adjunct faculty who uses a career-long experience in school administration to help inform his approach to training our students in negotiation. We keep adding more sections of negotiation class with Professor Grossland, and students keep filling them every semester. They cannot get enough of his teaching, and it's easy to see why once you spend some time with him. He invests a tremendous amount of time and personal care in their well-being and in their preparation. He forms exceptional relationships with his students. For those of you who were at the baccalaureate mass this morning, you'll know he also directs our chapel choir. If you didn't get a chance to hear them this morning and you haven't heard them in the past, I would encourage you to put UST Law Chapel Choir at the top of your bucket list. Most of the world will never believe that lawyers are capable of creating such beautiful music. It's a choir made up of students, alumni, faculty, and staff, and under his careful, watchful eye, it is really an astounding entity. So Professor Grossland is one of our finest teachers, a person who cares deeply about our students. So class of 2013, please give a rousing cheer to your Professor of the Year. Okay, now is the time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Let us proceed with the hooding ceremony. Associate Dean Joel Nichols, who has the hardest job in the room today because he has to pronounce everyone's names. He will be proceeding to the microphone. Professor Grossland will be hooding each graduate. I will be giving you all a hearty handshake of congratulations and presenting you with a small token of our grateful appreciation. Let me also note that we have a professional photographer who will be taking an excellent photograph of your favorite graduate and me. So please refrain from rushing the stage to get photos of your graduate. It's just going to be an exquisite photo. So we have it covered, and we want to make sure everybody can see their graduates coming through. And if you can refrain from the raucous applause until the end, so we make sure that everyone can hear the names of their favorite graduates as well, it's much appreciated, and I thank you for that. So we will now proceed with the hooding of the graduates.
Adam Allman. Emily Arkfeld. May Beeler. Ashley Bennett. Courtney Bozen. Kristen Bonnert. Megan Bond. Mary Beth Boyce. Ryan Falconer Bracken. Danny Breeze. Silas Brinkman. Ryan Bruce. Emily Butler. Joshua Carlson. Jason Carney. Lindsay Case. Rachel Cornell. Jennifer Culbertson. Nicholas Cunningham. Gina Dahl. Ryan Damhoff. Lee DeClean. Allison Douglas. Aiden Dunn. Whitney Dupree. Aubrey Ekman. Evan Everest. Bridget Teresa Finn. Chris Fiorillo. Charlene Forbes. Sam Franklin. Callie Gardner Bowles. Connor A. Gone. Adrian Guile. Jessica Geisler. Adam Gingold Gerhardstein. Grant Garrity. Vincent Gimmerich. Tyler William Graber. Casey Rose Grams. Michael Graybrook. Michael Grimm. Joseph Grodall Beaver. Emily Ann Gullickson. Nathan Allen Hazy. Jenna Haler. Derek William Hansen. William Clayton Harris III. Mark Edward Hedman Dennis. Jason Heikkinen. Jenna Hewitt. Daniel E. Hickey. Margaret Monk Higgins. Natalie Hohausen. Ken Jansen. Matt Jensen. June Jung. Danielle Marie Johnson. Gavin Johnson. Samuel Johnson. Jonica Jones. Leah Kemple. Joe Kemp. Song Joon Kim. Benjamin King. Ben Kinney. Randall Arthur Kins. Elizabeth Kirchner. Corey Cobbervig. Ruth Ann Cook. Jacob Cook. Andrew Peter Kolar. Carrie Kovalevsky. Peter Kronemeyer. Benjamin Reed Kwan. Brendan Lacey. Terry Allen Lang, Jr. Carolyn Latimer. Christopher Lee. Matthew Lamoja. Zong Lor. Samantha Lowe. William Mart. Elizabeth Rose Malay. Roger Maldonado. Dominica Sarah Meliz. Amanda Maley. Gerald McCabe. Grant McCauley. Mikey McLaughlin. Lauren Lang Malloy. Catherine Marlowe Mertz. Catherine Molin. Paul Moosbrugger. Hannah Motes. Christopher Motes. Mike Minster Blakely. Medina Wynn. Ashley Ray Oliver. Chad Olson. Amy O'Neill. Kimberly Overholser. Neil Pearson. Brittany Peters. Stephen Pistillo. Wade Pittman. Archana Rao. Justin Donald Ream. Kelly Ritter. Michael Roberts. Elliot Robinson. Michael Robles. Nathan Rutledge. Richard Sand. Carly Sanders. Jill Sauber. Mitch Schluter. Terrence Edward Schnurr. Justin Jared McCreevy Seitz. Kelly Marie Sinton. Nathan Skemp. V. Joshua Socks. Sarah Summervold. Rafe Stanley. Emmylou Stark. Philip Joseph Steger. Michael Stokes. Kimberly Ann Stummis. Leslie Ann Strobel. John Strong. Hannah Terhar. Jason Thibodeau. Mark Thompson. Lucas Dustin Jonathan Toft. Holden Turner. Joel Van Nerden. Matthew Stephen Velasquez. Jeffrey Wald. Catherine Waldock. Mike Wardwell. Brian Weeks. Brian Welly. Thomas Wenzel. Elliot Westman. Stephanie Wiersma. Kyle Willems. Kia Zhang. Tracy Estison. Isaac Zimmerman.
We have one other important item of business to take care of, so I now invite to the podium the Chief Academic Officer of the University of St. Thomas, Dr. Sue Huber, who will formally confer the degree of Juris Doctor on our graduates.
I know I stand between you, your official degree, and the reception, but I am going to say I am so pleased to be a part of this. It really is a joyous day for all of us. I think the first 12 years for the School of Law have been sources of pride for me, for our president, Father Deese, for our trustees, for the School of Law Board of Governors, and we are extremely proud of the outstanding work of the law faculty, the staff, and all that they have built with this excellent program. And most of all, we're proud of you, our 10th class of students, and our new graduates. In a very near future, I look forward to hearing about all that you'll be achieving as outstanding legal professionals and leaders of our community. Congratulations to each and every one of you, and I wish you all of the best. And now, would the candidates please stand up? upon the recommendation of the faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I, Susan Huber, Executive Vice President and Chief Academic Officer, confer upon you a Juris Doctor degree from the University of St. Thomas with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Please be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Huber. We've congratulated the class of 2013, but there are some other people to thank here as well. Each member of this class has parents, spouses, children, loved ones who've been there for them these past 3 years, and who have provided love and support, and occasionally a little financial support along the way. So could I invite the members of the class of 2013 to rise and thank your loved ones who are gathered here today. I'll also remind our graduates, so you don't think the attention's going to stay on you all weekend. Tomorrow happens to be Mother's Day, so maybe a preliminary cheer for the moms who are with us as well. Now, this is the last time I'm going to have you all together as a captive audience. So I'm going to exercise the dean's prerogative and give you one more admonition. And that admonition is this: keep the sense of community that you've had as a class going after you walk out of here today. Right? It's not going to be as easy as when you show up every day and you're all in the same place, having the same experiences. You're going to have to pick up the phone, you're going to have to send the email, you're going to have to get together, you're going to have to be proactive. And don't just stay in touch with each other, stay in touch with us. I love to hear from alumni about what you're doing, about where you're headed, about how we can support you along the way. Some of you heard me talk way back when you were at an admitted applicant open house or in some other event before you matriculated here, and one thing that I try to always say is, when you come to St. Thomas, you're going to be just as much a member of the community as an alum as you are when you're sitting in the classroom. And I mean that. And the faculty and staff and administrative leaders of this university mean that. Right? Community has been an important part of your experience over the past 3 years. And I'll say it's going to be even more important when you walk out those doors into the profession. But it takes some effort on your part. It is vital to who you're going to be as professional leaders. So it starts from day one. Make sure you keep the community going. All right, now finally, 4 very quick housekeeping announcements. First, I invite you all to a reception at the Schultz Grand Atrium of the School of Law, which is just a few blocks away down 12th Street, a very easy walk. Second, for those who might have some difficulty getting there on foot, we will have shuttle buses going from the Convention Center back to the School of Law. Third, I would like to encourage you all to post photos and favorite law school memories on Twitter under the tag UST Law Grad 2013. Yes, even law schools are hip enough to tweet. And finally, could I ask our guests to remain seated today until the platform party, our faculty, and the members of the class of 2013 have left the hall. Thank you very much. And now I'll ask the platform party, the faculty, and the graduates please rise.